Hey everyone, today I'm in Santa Rosa, New Mexico, and I'm going to show you a cemetery that's pretty interesting. It's the St. Rose of Lima Cemetery, and it's an old one. Pretty interesting. We're just going to kind of do a walkthrough. There's not anyone that I know of that's significantly historic. Tongue twister there, but I got it. So let's take a look. It's not a large cemetery. Everything seems to be right up front towards the road here. Can certainly tell though that there's a lot of extra room for burials through here. This was an actual chapel, church, and it is still standing, so we're going to take a look at that too. Here's the entrance. Old gates right there. Let's go inside, have a peek. Look here. The St. Rose of Lima Chapel and Cemetery, erected early 1800 and replaced 1907 to its new location, which I think that new location is right up there. There's a large chapel up there. I didn't read it. We kind of passed by it quickly trying to get to here. But look at all this. All these old graves with the concrete on top, old iron fences. Let's see if we see these dates here. Mother Manuelita Armillo, 1893 to 1932. Look at this one right here. They all have kind of the concrete top to it. These have some crosses on it, or did. Right there you can see the cross has fallen over. Small cemetery, but highly fascinating to see. Kind of sad. Leopoldo Sanchez, his cross is down. Died in 1928. And then his wife died in 1945. Really old graves here. Here's kind of a newer one, Sanchez, so their family still being buried in here. Pretty interesting. I think I'm approaching this from the wrong side. So they're facing the opposite direction. We'll go around on this other side. There's no marker on this one. This was clearly a child. Such a small little rectangle closed in area. Here we have Curry. They're newer. 1977 and 65 and 1931. It's very interesting to see. 1977, 1961. This is nice. All this marble around here, all of that is marble. Love how they've got these with borders and concrete on the top like that. It makes it stand out. As you can see, there's not much grass that grows in here. A lot of we're in the middle of a neighborhood, and I don't want to show the houses, but many of the yards just have rock yards, so you don't have to worry about mowing or anything. This is interesting. There's lava rocks on the top of this one. I guess just to keep roots from growing. So there are some newer ones in here. I've never seen I guess it's different because you don't get much water out here. This is a cedar, what we would have in Oklahoma, cedar trees. This is basically a cedar bush, if you want to call it that. It's not very tall at all, maybe 3 foot tall in the center at most. I don't think they trim it. I just don't think it really grows, kind of like this tree. And here is a veteran of World War I. Passed away in 1966. And this one has the funeral home marker. Interesting enough, there's a funeral home right across the street. Celso Baca, 1976. And there's rosary beads right over on the right. And And these are probably more graves right here, just designated by the rocks. There's quite a few rocks right in through there. Very interesting indeed. A lot of Sanchez in here. Beautiful markers and memorials. And the fencing. I'm a big fan of the fencing. And it must be just a tradition, I guess, to have this fencing. Chacon, if I'm saying that right. Hate to butcher any of these names. Ulibarri. Man, look at the detail in this fence. And then how it casts a shadow when the sun shines through it there. With the U. Completely interesting. There's the old chapel. Last name is Baca. 1969 and 1974 is when they passed. Here we have 1888 and 1878 when they were born. Take a look at this chapel though. That looks like a wooden shutter there still. Is that a wooden shutter? Yeah. It's a wooden shutter still standing. And it's interesting how there's some nails right up and through here. That window's going to fall out, but it's hard to say. Is the whole wall going to fall because there's some cracks in it? But they've built this up with rocks that they probably cut and placed and built and then put the concrete over the top of it. A bunch of rocks down through here that are sort of holding up the wall. Look at the view in through there with the lighting. See the inside of it. Man, don't see stuff like this in cemeteries too often. This looks old right down here, but it looks like they've shored this up some because this is more modern lumber here. Look at the inside of that though. Really, really cool. It's interesting how they have the rocks on the inside. Maybe that was the platform or stage where the pulpit was. All sorts of old pieces of lumber in here that have fallen down. Maybe from the rooftop, kind of being an arc or something, who knows. So I guess that wasn't so much a shutter as it's just deep inset windows right there. And it makes me wonder if they were stained glass windows or what. Pretty neat. I can't tell if there's writing right here or if it's just some insects that have burrowed in there and made some kind of design naturally. There's a window up top though. Just to show you how this wall is leaning. Take a look at it, bowed out right there. It's very cool though. Hopefully the sun's not getting in the camera too much. Now here is a piece of a cross, and at a quick glance over here, looks like it belongs on that piece right over there. Look at this one. Religious figures right inside there with a piece of glass and a cross. Last name Baca. We've seen several of those Bacas, and these little vases right here are busted. Love this one right here. So different. Love how they've enshrined that figure in there. Two figures. Man. So nice. We're going to go around to the back side of this building, but I do not want to step on these right here. So we'll go around. Casas, if I'm saying that right, 1893 to 1910. Has an angel up top there. Man. Really cool. And some of these are tall. I know it's kind of hard for you to judge, but that's probably in the neighborhood of 6'6" at the top of that, would be my guess. Maybe a little taller. And this one right here has it's another Sanchez, 1959 and 1975, and then they kind of have this blue tile work in there. It's beautiful. I like the way they've done that. It gives it some color on the resting place. Giddings. It's interesting. Here's a sort of a ramp up like that. I've never seen one with a ramp like that before. Yeah, this is a pretty old one right here. 1860 to 1926, and that cross, I believe, is what's upside of there. Look at the angle on that, though, that whole chapel there. It just looks like any of those rocks could fall off at any second, doesn't it? And then, of course, the side of that is clearly bowing as well. There are several markers here that have just, they're made out of concrete and they've just eroded completely away, broken off, disintegrated. Here's a child. Well, it's not a child, but there's a lamb on top. 1858 to 1930, but that's broken off, and then the lamb's head, I'm assuming that's what that was, has broken off. These are some interesting graves. Like I said, there's a lot of room here, and at one time it may have been parking for that chapel, but not anymore. They have a new chapel, and maybe people are just buried in other locations. It's kind of some of the same names in here. The Flores, there's several of the Flores, and the Chacon, if I'm saying that correctly. Adolfo N. Duran. This is 1992 in a wood post, and maybe they came back later and placed that. A lot of these still have the funeral home marker that you get. Chavez Funeral Home, which that Chavez Funeral Home is right across the street there. It's interesting. They've either placed it in metal right there like that, or they will mount it in there, and that one is missing. And then others that have more of the simple markers just have it laid right beside it. Tia Lola Madrid. Man. Gallegos. Magdalena and Evaristo. Love the names. And love the design of the fencing and the concrete tops. Evaristo died in 1962. He was born in 1893. He was a private in the U.S. Army in World War I. To give you kind of a side look, you can actually see some names that have been etched in here. When we have Charlie, there's some other names, they're not really legible. Different things etched in here. I suppose kids over time throughout the years have etched different things in here. You can see those nails up there. This has a date of 74. Looks like maybe go something. Maybe 95 there. I don't know what that is. 26? I don't know. They've been etching it in here for a while. I'll tell you, this wall is leaning so much. It's almost scary to lean in there and try to give you guys a better view. I'll have to do it from the ends, because look at those rocks that could just tumble off of you, or the whole wall come down. And I'm not sure if that is another grave or not, but it's just here to the side of the building. I'm not sure what that is, if it's just another grave or what, but it's just to the side of this old chapel. I have no idea. This is the back side of this. Oh, and there's another marker right here. If I hadn't walked around to the back, I wouldn't have seen it. Look at the back of this. Isn't that cool? You can see where some of this is just kind of falling apart from up through here. Man, it's one of the coolest things I've seen in a cemetery. Look at that. This wall's not leaning so much, but I tell you, it's still kind of scary. This stuff looks like it could fall down at any time. Look here. We have cactus growing in here. And I assume that this is where the pulpit would have been. But look how much that's leaning right there. You can tell that this wall is leaning. I'd love to have seen old pictures of this with the roof on there. I don't know if I can find any online or not, but if I can, I'll include them. Very cool. Awesome find here in New Mexico, Santa Rosa, New Mexico. Let's see what this marker says. It is a burial location, and there's another one over there. There's also one right here, and I say that because you can see the cement concrete border right through here. Not a plant expert, but I do believe that these are yuccas. And it's designating a burial location. Josephine Padilla, 1895 to 1986. A little more growth on these back here. It's interesting how they are back behind this old church. I think this looks like it's another veteran. I have this bush here. I have no idea what this is. It's fascinating. There's these little flowers on it. Pretty looking yellow, whitish flowers. Yes, private in the Army, and during World War I. Born in 1897 and passed away in 1965. Asaro Padilla. Pretty interesting. Love this chapel. And I love these final resting places. Upon exiting this cemetery, I've noticed this sign, but I have no idea. It says in memory of the Giddings, I guess. But it also looks like IR, period, 15 cents, and something is $6. So I don't know, maybe they repurposed the sign, and that's why it's here. But that cross up there is an old wooden cross. And it's also fallen apart, and they've repaired it and put some banding on the back side. You can't see it from the front side. I don't know if they ever had a cross over there as well. One last look at that chapel. So thanks for joining me on this quick little tour of the cemetery and chapel. Pretty unique. Not often do you get an abandoned chapel in a cemetery, but it's not really abandoned. They're still maintaining these graves, visiting these graves, and there's still active burials. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time.